Karen,
Yes.
question for you.
I have an answer for you.
Are you sure?
No.
Okay, well, let's see. What do a licensed therapist, a psychic medium, and an abstract painter have in common?
Are they walking into a bar?
Well, you know what? After meeting her, maybe so, but I don't know.
Okay, a psychic medium, an abstract painter, and
A licensed therapist.
licensed therapist. I have no idea.
Well, it was a trick question because actually they are all Katie Beecher.
Oh.
And this is the person that's actually, this woman creates soul level medical readings without ever seeing you. Just your name, your age, that's it. And
Wow.
you know what she gives you?
What?
A 4-page physical, emotional, and spiritual health report. Plus a symbiotic watercolor portrait of your soul.
Wow.
I know, right?
That's so cool.
Now, she's been featured in Goop, in Poosh, and even on Coast to Coast AM with George Noory, but today she is joining us.
Woohoo!
So she's made the big time finally. If you ever wondered what your symptoms might be trying to tell you or how to heal from the inside out, you're going to want to stick around for this one because Katie, she's not just an intuitive, she is verified. Let's go.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and
We
Scully,
both want to believe.
so we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something
Anything.
that will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And we are welcoming you back to another power-packed episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. Today's guest is someone who bridges the gap between science and spirit in a truly extraordinary way. See, Katie Beecher is a licensed professional counselor and an internationally recognized medical and emotional intuitive with over 35 years of experience. She's been featured on Goop, on Poosh, on Miranda Kerr's KORA Organics, Coast to Coast AM, and more than 200 other media outlets. See, her unique method involves creating a detailed 4-page intuitive report and a symbolic soul painting before she even meets her clients. All she uses is her name and age. She's also the author of the best-selling book, Heal from Within, an intuitive guide to wellness, which empowers people to connect to their bodies, uncover root causes of illness, and tap into their own intuitive healing power. Now, having personally healed from bulimia, depression, Lyme disease, and mold toxicity, Katie brings not only professional wisdom, but lived experience to everything she does. Please welcome the one, the only Katie Beecher to the show. Katie, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
I'm glad you think we're awesome. Some people say, oh my God, these guys are crazy. But
We've got her snowed.
so far, so good, Karen. All right. Katie, I'm excited to talk to you. In our research, we found that you do things a little differently. We've talked to people who do soul paintings before. We've talked to medical intuitives before. I don't know that we ever talked to someone that does them both at the same time. So this is exciting. So first, the soul paintings. Do they act as a tool to help you to diagnose what might be going on with someone?
So they do.
Okay.
The way that I use them is I do the report first, and it's very detailed and all the stuff that you said, and then I create the painting afterwards, and it both verifies the information in my report and gives me different kinds of information about the person, and delivering something symbolically to someone is a little bit softer, if you will. So
Sure.
If you're reading a report and you see the words, sexual abuse or a very serious diagnosis, to be clear, I cannot legally or ethically diagnose. So
Of course, yes.
Really
Yeah.
want to be clear about that. But I do identify symptoms and I do make suggestions for what things might be. And then I help connect people with practitioners I trust for formal diagnoses and things. So that's really important to me that people know that. But the soul painting, for example, I might be directed by my guides to put a lot of red in certain areas. maybe around the second chakra, which is the hip area, reproductive organs, things like that. And so if I pick up abuse in that area and I put red there, then it's people usually know what that means, and it might be a miscarriage, it might be, you know, endometriosis or hysterectomy or something like that, but people usually just intuitively are like, oh, I know what that is. So it's a gentler way of beginning a difficult conversation.
Okay. Or it could be just a bump on the table as you're on your way to the dining room. No.
So does each color mean something, or do you just kind of put things together and then read the whole feeling behind it?
Yeah, my guides start by giving me a color, and then I usually start at the top of the image of a person. So the image can be of a figure. Sometimes it's an insect, sometimes an animal. So they really vary. It could be a plant, but it's all symbolizing the person. And my guides have me start with a color, and then I just kind of go down whatever they tell me to put, gets put there. And the colors matter, and it's an individual interpretation for each person, but also things like, you know, the placement of the arms. So let's say your arms are totally out like this. It could be that you're welcoming new information. It could mean that you're vulnerable. Let's say your arms are in front of your heart and you could be protecting yourself. Different colors in the legs, for example. Legs represent moving forward in life. So let's say there's some magenta there, and magenta is about being your true authentic self. So they're being told that the way to move forward is just by being yourself, you know? So it's really individualized. It's really fun, even though the paintings literally look like a 5-year-old did them. So, you know, and being a fine artist, I was sort of like, what are these things?
So you're saying there's hope for me yet?
There really is. You know, I didn't know how people would receive them. And they really love them, and they print them out and frame them, and so it's fun.
They're abstracter, but you can actually make out someone's body because you can, right? So what the color is, and
yes, you can definitely make out a figure, or let's say it's a plant, or it could be a combination of a plant and a figure, or some kind of insect like a butterfly or something like that. So you, as abstract-y-ish as they definitely are, you can definitely make up, you know, petals of a flower or leaves or legs and arms and things like that.
Okay. All right. So then I think you might be seeing that if you're watching this on the video, you might be seeing some examples of these paintings on the video. If you don't, just go to our blog and you'll see those paintings in there as well that we're putting in there.
Now, have you had the opportunity to do, or maybe you have or not, I don't know, like an after picture? So you diagnose someone and then they kind of work
fixed
on the issues and then paint their soul again?
Yes, I do have a lot of repeat clients, and it's super fun to look at, you know, what comes up in the report again, or what their paintings look like again, and to see the growth. And people are always kind of surprised at, you know, because we don't always realize that we're growing or changing or healing because we're in it. So to be able to see it in the report, and especially in the paintings, is really, really fun.
Right. So obviously the people, once they come to you, it's because they feel they have something going on. Or you just do it generally, and people then find that there's something they need to look at after they see the painting.
My clients are pretty varied. Most of them, I have to say, have symptoms that they either know what the cause is and they're not healing, they want help with them, or they don't know what the root cause is at all, and they've been to 8 trillion practitioners and, you know, keep hearing it's in your head, or they get a misdiagnosis or something like that. So, but I also have people who just want to know more about healing relationships or setting boundaries or healing trauma or career help or, you know, whatever. And the nice thing about the readings is that we cover everything and anything in that that 1 hour.
That's a great point, right? Because the very first thought is you're talking about health, right? You're talking about, but then you started the conversation with, potential sexual abuse, for example, which is not health thing. It's more of a thing, right?
I mean, yeah.
Well,
it's a little
yes,
bit both.
it may represent, it may end up being in that sense, but it goes way deeper than just a physical ailment. But you can help people not just with health, but you do it with, like you said, career. You can do it with relationships. You could do it with, finding that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, and it's really important to know that if you look at root causes, physical, emotional, and spiritual are all really important to consider. And my guides don't see time in a linear fashion, so I will get stuff from someone's childhood or from 10 years ago or in the future, or I'll get information from people that they care about, or maybe their loved ones in spirit, so it's kind of, I have to discern what's now and what's in the past, and the information in the past or for someone else usually comes through as just a little bit fainter. So if I see a picture, let's say, it's just a little fainter, or hear a fainter word in my head or something like that. So I just put it out there, and then we talk about it during the reading.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, you said also in the future. How does that work? Like, how do you get that information, and how can you use that to help someone?
So a lot of people say, am I going to get better? What can I do to help myself? Things like that. And so I don't give people timelines because it's not fair, and there's so many variables. But I do get feelings about, yes, this person is going to get better, and that their relationship is going to succeed. Or maybe I hear that they're better off out of the relationship and it's not going to work out. Or I get hints about how to help them with their business, now and in the future, or their goals or dreams or something like that. So it's because we all have trouble living in the present for a lot of reasons. We're in the past or in the future, and that's okay. So to be able to help people with all of it is really important.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. We're burying the lead, right? Bulimia, Lyme disease, toxicity, mold toxicity. You healed yourself from all that stuff. So the first thing that comes to mind is, how did you do that?
Well, I can't take 100% of the credit because I definitely had help. I'll start with the bulimia part. When I was in high school, I was in bad shape, really bad shape, throwing up 3 times a day and suicidal depression. And I was ready to just be like, I can't live this way anymore. It's not okay. And my family was really toxic. And so some people have heard this story before, and it's in my book. But I came home one day from school and called our pediatrician. I hadn't told anybody about what I was going through, and my parents were not very helpful. So I called and said, I'm making myself get sick and I need help. And it was 1983, so the doctor was kind of like, oh, it's okay. It'll be, you'll be fine. And I'm like, no, dude, I really won't be fine. This is not okay. Right. And he recommended a Jungian psychologist. You guys may have done Jungian stuff before.
Sure, yeah.
And for me, that was the perfect match because she taught me how to connect to my intuition. I already knew that I had these weird abilities, and I had no one to talk to about them. So I could say to her, I'm talking to dead people, or, I'm getting these feelings or whatever. And she just totally encouraged it all. So she helped me learn how to connect to my authentic self and set boundaries and not care so much about what people thought and all of those things. And with her help and a ton of work on my end, I started.
Funny
the
how
recovery,
it works that way,
right? I was ready, though, and I like to tell people that was one of the most important things that ever happened to me, and I'm so grateful for it because we need pain to change.
Such a great point, right? We talk all the time about how growth happens at the edge of our comfort zones, but sometimes we have to go really far out of our comfort zones to really get the benefits that we need to get. And at the end of the day, people say you don't really need to get there. If you just listen to the universe saying, hey, I need you to do this first, instead of waiting for the moment that you've gotten into big trouble with bulimia. Maybe, that's...
Well, I think that must have been your guides and your intuition, because what teenager calls the pediatrician on their own?
Right.
So that's really fantastic that you listened and
definitely.
took that step. And
It was
really,
divine intervention. It really
Yeah.
was, because I didn't know really why or what was happening. And I think the fact that I had gotten into a college that was not near my parents was probably motivational to help me want to live, you know?
Yeah, I don't have mom and dad to rely on anymore. I'm on my own. I got to get this taken care of.
I was on my own anyway. I couldn't rely on them
It
anyway.
was
So
an escape.
it was like, okay, I have a motivation now and hope and, things like
No one
that.
controlling you in ways you didn't want to be controlled.
Oh.
Exactly.
See? That's a thick guy not thinking the right way. So that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
It's
Holy
okay.
smokes.
And then for the Lyme and mold and all those other things, it was a physical, emotional, and spiritual journey for sure. I fortunately had an amazing naturopath that I worked with who I lived in Connecticut. I'd had Lyme since I was a kid and didn't know it. So, and the traditional doctors were no help. No one ever brought up all the symptoms of Lyme disease that I had. And I had, again, the sense to find a naturopath at 17 and, worked with these people. It wasn't till I was like 45 till I got diagnosed with Lyme. But it was through working with her and then doing a lot of spiritual work, talking to my symptoms, asking the Lyme, like, okay, I'm going to treat you as my friend. Why are you here? What do you have to tell me? And kind of to your point before, what I like to tell people is the trick is listening to your symptoms and intuition early before they need to almost kill you.
Right. Right.
To be like, oh, okay.
Right. Let's talk about your book for a second, because it kind of goes hand in hand with what you just said. Your book, Heal from Within, you talk about symptoms as messages from the body, right, and your spirit. And you say that there's a way to get messages from your body that will allow you to understand that there are some underlying challenges you have to work on. How does that work?
Yeah, 100%. And when I was going through therapy and my recovery journey, when I was 16, my guides told me to write the book. They told me to pass on what I had learned, to teach people how to connect to themselves and their intuition and all the things. So took me, several decades to actually write it, but that's okay. So
Hey, you got it out.
I got
a
it.
lot more than most people do.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Right. And it was the Lyme disease. When I talked to Lyme and said, why are you here? What do you want? Like, why are you scaring me? And it's like, oh, it's time to write your proposal. So there you go. So there is a great example of a symptom and a diagnosis that I listened to and talked to instead of fearing. And I had that dialogue with it. I talk about how to do the dialogues and all that kind of stuff in the book, but it was, all right, what do you want me to do? Why are you in my life right now? And why is this so unpleasant? Because I was afraid of writing the proposal. I am an author, but I'm not really a writer. Thank God for editing. So, it was scary. And these symptoms come about to make you change. So work with people all the time who come to me for a physical issue, and my guides in the report reveal that, they're in a really dysfunctional relationship that they've been trying to get out of forever. Or you're letting people walk all over you, or you're doing too much for others and you need to set boundaries, or any other, you need to change how you eat, or guess what, it's time to stop smoking, or any of the things above. So again, it's that discomfort that forces us to look at our lives and ourselves and make changes. And it can be the littlest symptom. So you get a little headache, right? And you have to figure out, we're all medical intuitives, really. So you have a symptom and you start asking yourself, what is this about? What caused it? What do I need to do? So get a headache or a stomach ache, something I ate. Is it an allergen? Do I need to lay down? Do I need to take something? Can I go to this event that I'm supposed to go to? Is there a deeper cause? Is this, a repetitive event? Things like that. So and with our kids too. Our kids get sick and we have to sort of be medical detectives. So what I do is kind of that on steroids, but it doesn't mean that we all don't, do it to a certain degree.
Yeah, so it's really listening to your intuition.
And your body.
Right. But once you feel it in your body, then you have to ask your body what's going on, and then your intuition is what kind of clears a path for understanding, right? Okay, so here's where I run into a problem. Every time that I feel something's going on, my intuition says I need more alcohol. So for those people, who maybe don't trust their intuition all that much, what kind of tips can you give us?
Let me first add a disclaimer. The way you said that, he doesn't drink every day, not even every week. But when he's stressed out, he'll have a couple of drinks.
Yes,
so it's not like, God, I need more. Wow. I mean, that I know of. I'm going to have to start looking in like the nightstands.
Don't look in my closet. That's all I'm saying.
What's under the pillow?
No, but for a lot of people who are listening to the show, and perhaps some of the hosts of this show have some challenges with trusting their intuition. So how can you feel confident that what you're hearing in your intuition is actually what you need to do?
That is such a great question, and it comes up during. You're very welcome. During every session, I do it myself.
Okay.
Because we're so emotionally involved with ourselves, and expectations come in there, and self-doubt, and the times when, I thought I trusted my intuition then, and didn't work out so well, right? So, I have a written technique in my book that literally saved my life. It's based on Jungian psychology with my own spin, and having a conversation with your intuition in writing. First of all, you have to stop what you're doing to write, right? So you are more in the moment. It's like a mindfulness meditation. You're more focused. And so you're less distracted by what am I having for dinner or, any other thing that's going on. So that helps with the focus. And what I advise people is don't overthink the information, even if you're just listening in your head. You don't have to figure out whether it's your intuition or just a voice in your head or just your feelings. Listen to what you hear and then start discerning. So is this actually fear? Am I projecting my fears onto this information I'm receiving? Right. And if that's the case, then ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What is this anxiety about? Am I afraid that if I listen to the really difficult information I'm hearing, such as I need to get out of this relationship with someone, or I need to, I'm feeling the need to drink more, right? What does that mean? Do I need to go do some relaxation? Do I need to do movement? Is this a call to action in terms of, do I have an addiction? Do I have a problem? So really go deep into the information rather than just going on a surface level. And even if you listen and you make a mistake, you've still learned something by that experience. So, but the number one thing I think is people hear scary stuff and about change. And change is scary and they don't want to do it. And they're afraid, and it feels overwhelming because it doesn't happen overnight. So everything gets pushed down, and then you're totally cut off from any intuition. So don't overthink it, but don't be afraid to go deeper.
And write it down, right? That's the number one thing you get. You just get pen to paper and write it down.
So you don't forget.
Right.
Yeah, and it's actual dialogue.
It connects you.
Yeah.
Right. It connects you more. Like Neil Donald Walsh wrote Conversations with God. That
exactly.
Way. The problem with that is that I got to put my drink down to write.
Oh my God! Stop with that.
Well,
so I'm going to change the subject very slightly here.
But you actually don't, because you could have the drink in one hand and your pen in the other.
There you go.
Just got to be a left-handed drinker. No, so we have these conversations and we learn these things. And there's something that you said a while ago that just like struck me in my. So I'm listening, but also kind of going down this other like mental rabbit hole. And so you talked about being friends with Lyme disease. You made it your friend, and you had this dialogue. And I just started thinking about the things that I have certain issues with, and stuff just started kind of coming in and popping into my head. And I'm looking at this. There's this one issue that's kind of plagued me for years and years. And I'm like, okay, so if I look at that as my friend, and instead of thinking, oh, I have to get rid of this, I have to let it go, that's not right, that's not true, and think, wow, this situation this way that I am has helped protect me and keep me safe for all of these years. And I need to be grateful for that and thank it and then let it go.
Right, because it's no longer serving you as much.
Yeah, it's done its work.
Right.
And it's been part of who I am, and I can let it go and look at it as a friend instead of something like, oh, God, I've got to get over this. So like just that one little thing. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so there's a common denominator in all this that we're talking about, right? It's a change in perspective. Right now, and we talked about it a lot on the show before, your perspective really dictates how you react to any particular given thing. So that's a really good first step.
It does, and also the traditional medical model is fight, take drugs, mask, be a warrior. And I get all that, but what if we stopped fighting? And what if we listened? And fighting creates so much health anxiety. And then people are afraid to go get blood tests or open their results or get an ultrasound, or because they're so afraid that things are going to be so bad, instead of just, gee, I want to know the answers because then I could do something about them.
That's so true. Whenever I get my test results back from my doctor, my heart is pounding before I open it up. So, yeah. Well, I have history with that. That might be why. But all right. So I mentioned in the teaser, I tossed it in. People might have caught it, might not have caught it. I mentioned that you are verified. Right? You have been verified by medical professionals. Tell us about that.
So, I, at the very, I don't know about the beginning, but about 12 years ago, maybe, I don't know what day it is today, but about 12 years ago, I contacted a journal. It's a peer-reviewed journal, and it was an MD who had this journal. And I wanted to do a little study verifying my abilities and my accuracy. And I wanted to get some of the doctors from my clients involved, and they gave me permission, of course, and did an informal survey of about 80 of my clients, and just did a questionnaire about what was accurate, what wasn't, things like that. And then also contacted these doctors and had them give permission, or the clients gave permission for their medical files. And it showed that before I did the reading with them, they had these diagnoses and symptoms that I correctly identified. So it was important to me to get that kind of empirical data. And my, accuracy is something in the 97th percentile or something like that with that. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
Right. And also just a lot of, when I do readings for doctors, or when I did the reading for Goop, or a lot of the big media stuff, they don't put your information up there unless you're actually good at what you do. So I had to do readings for them and have them, verify that information.
How did I not think about that? Katie, you want to come on the show? You got to do a reading.
Next time.
Dang it. Missed opportunity.
Next time.
Right. Well, that's cool. So you did it for the media, like you did it for George Noory and all those kinds of people, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, and the Goop, head of Goop, not Gwyneth, but the person below her, and so, but that's really important to me because I cannot BS the readings and the reports. They get them before I talk to them. So again, it's important to me to have credibility. People can trust me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, super important, of course. Now, we've talked about the fact that you intuit things in all kinds of spectrums, right? The health and spirituality and all that kind of stuff. Since the show's really focused on spiritual awakenings and that kind of stuff, if someone is wanting to further their spiritual growth, is this something that you can identify and help with as well?
Oh, yes, every session.
Oh,
during every single
session.
Every session, I teach people how to connect to their intuition, how to develop whatever gifts they have, how to trust their intuition, because I don't want anyone substituting their intuition for mine. I will be honest with what my guides get and everything, but it's always, how does this feel to you? Is this resonating with you? Don't just listen to me and nod your head. I don't want that. And I want to know, is there something in the report that didn't resonate? Because maybe it was for somebody else I was reading at the time, or, a loved one of theirs. So we talk a lot about how people can listen to their bodies and their intuition and develop whatever gifts they already have.
All right. Well, cool. I think I need to book a session. Okay. So let's get back to your soul paintings, because I'm really curious about that. Have you ever painted something that really just shocked you? So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I actually had the idea that you were going to ask me about this, so this is super cool.
Excellent.
I was doing a reading on a 5-year-old boy, and all I knew is that he was 5. And I did a very different type of soul painting. And it was a fire truck that had a very long ladder, and behind it was a tall sort of apartment type building. And there was a fireman with a hose, so, clear what it was. And then I was trying to make the hose on the side of the truck, how it's kind of coiled up. And my brain and my hand weren't connecting, and all I could make was this S shape. And I literally said to myself, is this Superman's fire truck? Right? So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go with it. When I talked to the mom, she said her son was autistic, nonverbal, and right before she found out she was pregnant with him, they lost all of their belongings in an apartment fire. The whole place burned down, and she lost everything.
Ooh,
and
ouch.
She said she was completely devastated, had no hope, and then found out she was pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
And she said this her little boy literally saved her, and has such impact on all the people he meets. He's this very, charismatic individual who's not even verbal. And she said that she was so moved that she calls him her Superman.
Oh, wow.
It gets
Oh my
better.
gosh.
It gets better.
Oh.
And I don't remember what Superman's middle name is, but that is the middle name of
L?
her son.
Kal-El?
I honestly don't remember. I don't know. My guy just had me.
Big Superman fan here.
Nice. Okay. So whatever it is, that's the middle name she gave her son. So I remember she was in tears, when she saw the painting. I was getting chills. She was getting chills.
That's amazing.
And
Wow.
yeah, it's one I will never forget for sure.
Okay. I'm taking all the questions.
Well, so how did you first start doing the soul painting? What led you to that?
I've always been an artist, and I think it was kind of my Jungian psychology background too. He uses a lot of symbolism and art therapy has always been a really important healing tool for me, and I have training in it too. And I wanted to incorporate something symbolic with the written words of the report, because it just feels impersonal sometimes, even though it's deeply personal.
Yeah.
But it just sort of came to me. I think I was looking at the Red Book, actually, Carl Jung's Red Book, which is pretty intense depiction of his spiritual journey. Right. And it just came, again, spiritual intervention of, what if you could make a symbolic representation of these people's lives and their bodies and energy, and what would it look like? So I kind of fooled around with it, and I, used a lot of people as guinea pigs, and that's how it came to me.
Every once in a while, when we have a guest that we really love on the show, we ask permission to ask some curveball questions that might be a little bit out of the norm.
Cool.
You cool with doing? Okay, all right. Here's the first curveball question I'm going to throw your way. If someone asked you to create a medical intuitive reading for planet Earth, what do you think you'd find?
Oh boy. Okay. That's depressing. A lot of hurt. Abuse is coming to mind. Neglect. Kind of being taken for granted. Needing to set boundaries. A lot of symptoms that people aren't looking at enough, and aren't responding to enough. And the fact that we need the planet to be as healthy as possible, not just for now, but for our futures, and that we need to really listen more and take better care of it.
Right. That sounds right.
That reminds me of something I just heard yesterday on NPR, talking about taking care of the earth. Apparently in Paris, they have disallowed cars.
What?
People can't drive cars anymore. They
In
can take
Paris?
public transportation and they can walk.
Wow.
Come on.
And they're planning little mini urban forests. It was I had
Cool.
just heard about this, and at first, I guess the mayor said that the Parisians were very upset about this, but
yeah.
now they're like, they're actually getting out and enjoing Paris again. People are outside, they're walking, they're biking more.
Was this a credible source you got this from?
That was on NPR.
NPR.
No.
I think it was NPR. Yeah, it was. Yeah, on whatever I listened to
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was very, very cool.
Well, remember back during COVID when everything was closing down,
Right?
and the
Yes.
dolphins would come back to Venice
Yes.
and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
So there's hope.
There is.
Yeah, but
there is.
so in cities like Paris and New York, places that have mass transportation, I can totally see that. But can you imagine that here? Like, if you don't have a car here, you're sunk.
Well, yeah,
you're
that's
in
true.
big trouble. So
Most places.
Okay.
Although
Right.
maybe they just incorporate, they take out the cars and they put a bus, so people take the buses
Or
and stuff.
bikes, like Denmark.
bikes, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, here's another curveball question. If your intuition had a voice, how would you describe the personality? Is it gentle, sassy, wise, parental, wise ass? Will?
Well, I'm also imagining how my husband would describe that. The first thing that comes to mind is very honest and loving and empathic and putting myself in the place of others who've been through difficult things.
Okay, so the voice would be like Karen then. Got it.
Wait, not like a Karen.
No. Right.
You gotta differentiate.
Right. So I remember the question I had, if it came to me, the report that you give to people, does that mean that you're constantly like writing 4-page essays for people, or do you have like a machine that spits it out?
I wish I had a machine. No, my guys are kind of like a machine.
Right.
Right. I purposely see maybe 6 to 9 people a week at the most. And some of those are regular counseling clients, intuitive counseling clients that I see on a regular basis. So I usually do anywhere from 4 to 6 actual reports per week. And I do like those on Sundays and Mondays to prepare for the week. So no, I am not constantly writing. And I have a template that I start with that is divided into all of the chakras, and it gives the physical and emotional characteristics of each chakra. So you don't have to know anything about chakras to understand the report.
Okay.
And then the third column is kind of what I fill in for what I get for the person that I'm doing the reading for.
Gotcha. So it's more fill in the blank and not like long form survey.
Yes, correct.
That'd be a lot
I know.
of work.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Right,
no,
sorry.
yeah,
Right.
terrifying.
All right. Okay. So if for anyone that's listening who's struggling with something that they can't explain, whether it's chronic pain or emotional overwhelm or just feeling stuck, what's the very first step you recommend that they take?
Where I start in my readings is kind of doing an overview of what is the most pressing thing. What's the thing that is impacting your life the most or bothering you the most? And even in my book, I take people through a pretty extensive quiz of what's going on in your life and what are the things that are most important to you, where to start. Sometimes people don't even know what's bothering them because it's just been there forever and they don't even know how to put it into words. So sort of an identification of one thing that you want to start working on, because everything feels overwhelming, especially if you try to do it all at once. And then in the book and in my readings too, I start with helping people connect to their intuition and their authentic self, and start by just trying to be calmer, be more present, and giving yourself a break, not being so hard on yourself. And that kind of, starts the ball rolling.
Gotcha. Okay. A lot of people are talking about intuition, intuitive medicine, that kind of stuff, right? in this space, metaphysics, spirituality, there's a lot of although it's not new or young, there's a lot of new people coming to it. So there's a lot of misconceptions that come along with all this kinds of stuff. Are there any misconceptions you feel are really important to dispel right now?
Absolutely. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I have been called a witch. I have been called Satan. I have been told that by my own family. So it's great.
Oh,
Actually,
nice.
yeah, I don't have anything to do with them anymore, so there's a reason.
Right.
But that I'm anti-Christian, that listening to intuition is going against the Bible. It's being evil.
Interesting.
And that is so incredibly sad to me, because my first connection to intuition was with God, and it still is. And God is love. I help people heal and love themselves more. And by just having this assumption that you know nothing about, that it's somehow negative or evil or against God, it couldn't be further from the truth. So that's a big one.
Yeah, that is very sad. There's a lot of folks who are Christian who aren't in that thought process, right? They don't fit into that thought process. Unfortunately, there are a lot of them that are, and I can't help but think that's based in fear, right?
Totally.
It's rooted in programming and fear that they've been brought up in. So it's as much as I hate that they would feel that way, I do understand why. Unfortunately, you have to give them empathy. However, when you think about, if you are even interested in the space remotely, you probably have heard of Edgar Cayce. And Edgar Cayce, who's the father of metaphysics, was a Christian first and foremost, and he came up with all these holistic remedies. And he was like the first medical intuitive, right? He would dream the recipes to these concoctions that he put together for people. So
yeah, it's true. And even Carl Jung, who really started all of the symbolism and the Louise Hay stuff and everything people are doing now, it's really all based on Jungian stuff and Jungian theories, and he was a Christian too. So
yep.
Yeah.
And when you get into the conversation of science, like if quantum physics now has allowed us to connect the dots in a lot of these things. So it's no longer a mystical, it's from God or it's from Satan. This is just the way nature works. This is how the world is. So
I try to make what I do as non-woo-woo as possible.
Yeah.
Although there is pretty
Oh, yeah.
something to be said about the woo. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right?
It makes it more fun.
It does make it more fun, right? All right. Well, it's been wonderful speaking with you. Is there anything that you want to make sure that you get to across to our audience before we say goodbye?
My website will be on your notes. It's katiebeecher.com on Instagram and Facebook and all the places. And I love hearing from people. I offer a lot of different types of services, and so much can be accomplished in just one reading. So I don't want people to feel like it's, a link into 10 appointments.
Right.
We start with one. And
it's not like psychology where you're there for a couple of years or whatever. And by the way, I did want to shout out that I'm glad that you connected yourself with Jungian psychology, because the Oldian psychology is not very good. So.
I really like you guys. you would actually be quite fun to go have a drink with. So.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, apparently, you just have to look at the nightstand.
All right, so that I don't butcher it, can you tell us again the name of your book?
Yes, it's Heal From Within, a guidebook to intuitive wellness, and available everywhere, whatever, Amazon and all the places. So internationally.
Excellent. Oh,
Nice.
Well,
Congratulations on that.
well, we are going to add a direct link to the book and to your website and socials in our show notes. So if you are interested in connecting with Katie, and I recommend that you do, because I'm really curious about your readings. All you need to do is go to skepticmetaphysician.com and go to her episode page, and you'll see that link directly in there. So all you need to do is hit enter, and you'll be connected. Katie, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a really fun conversation with you.
My pleasure, and sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning. Your patience is appreciated.
What technical difficulties? I don't remember any technical difficulties. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.